City Power says it will continue to cut off electricity supply to defaulting residents in Johannesburg. The utility says its revenue unit is trying to ramp up collection. It says defaulting payers, and illegal connections are adding pressure to the network and, of course, hinders revenue recovery. Let's unpack this further. We're joined this morning by City Power's Head of Revenue Management, Thamsanqa Mathiso. It's great to talk to you this morning. Thanks for joining us. And, of course, this issue means that those residents who are paying will also be impacted.
Yeah, good morning to you and good morning to your viewers. So I think the issue is that, we are starting a process where we want to bring most of our residents on board in terms of paying for electricity and the services that they use. Because in one way or the other, those that do not pay impact those that are paying when the service is actually interrupted or Eskom decides to disconnect us for non-payment. So we are pushing to make sure that everybody make sure that they do that which they're supposed to do in terms of paying for their service.
Right. And it's a matter of necessity, isn't it? Because your bottom line is looking redder and redder as City Power. It
is a matter of necessity. And in fact, if you look into most of the municipalities are actually in trouble because of them having to pay for their services and customers downstream are not paying for their services. So similarly with us, electricity, we buy it from Eskom and other IPPs and we do not pay for half of it. We pay fully for it and we need all the customers to start paying for their services.
Yeah. So it's part of the municipality, its revenue collection drive. It's cut off supply to properties including Roodepoort, Lenasia South, Alexandra. Just yesterday you were in Naturena as well. Who's next? Who are the biggest defaulters according to City Power?
Yes, no, most definitely. So we are doing both residential and businesses. If you look into the community we went to yesterday, we have done a lot of engagement with the community to try and bring them on board. Today we've got a few businesses in Midrand that will be visiting today as part of the revenue collection. So we are balancing our approach to make sure that everybody who's defaulting comes to start paying for their services. So you would have seen that even some of our drives in the inner city, we'll also be doing the inner city today. Some of the buildings that are not paying there, we will be visiting them and making sure that they start paying for electricity.
Yeah, not only residential areas, but big business, which of course are major contributors to the energy that is being used. But on the flip side of that, Thamsanqa, the residents are also bearing the brunt of the state that City Power is in, right? There's massive pressure as a result of load shedding. There's massive pressure on equipment as well. Faults sometimes take a very long time to be fixed. In terms of what residents can expect, those who are paying and are yet still impacted, by things like faults taking long to switch on, what can you tell them?
Yeah, for example, the residents we were in yesterday, we worked with the residents for quite some time in relation to fault, cable theft, vandalism. And we came up with ideas to say, okay, we'll sort those things out. Obviously, they required upfront investment. And the company did say to the residents that the company will invest, but subject to the residents also starting to pay for the electricity. So we replaced a whole copper cable that was continuously being stolen in Naturena, and we replaced it with aluminium, which is actually some.
All right, we do apologize for that interruption to Thamsanqa. I apologize. We lost you for a second there. Can you just pick up again from the issue you were addressing insofar as the copper cable is concerned, which you replaced, a copper cable that was being stolen?
We replaced the copper cable with aluminium. We spent about 9 million with an intention that the residents would start paying. And after that, they decided to stop paying for electricity, which was quite a sad thing for us.
Overall, how are we doing insofar as maintenance is concerned?
Yeah, so from the maintenance point of view, we understand, I think, from our side that we are running quite an aged network and load shedding is not making it easy. But what we've done is that we've decentralized our services. We've got our depots or SBCs across. And I think we are willing to engage with communities to find ways on how we can improve the efficiencies in those communities and make sure that we do respond timeously. But I can tell you now, I think most of our seasons where the faults becomes high, either winter season or when we are at around stage 6 or stage 4 of load shedding. But other than that, I think our guys do push to make sure that our calls are quite minimum. And you can see on the social media, we always post per FDC to say we are dealing with so many calls, so that when you call it already, you can actually know how many calls do we have and what is the likelihood for us to respond on time. Yeah. And we do push to make sure we respond on time.
Yeah. In terms of billing, Thamsanqa, what can you tell us on that score? Because there are so many people on social media and on other platforms as well that talk about, the fact that they've had solar power installed, they hardly ever use electricity because they are connected to renewable energy, and yet their bills remain incredibly high. And when they try to dispute this by not paying, because they know for a fact that they're not using the amount of electricity that they're being billed for, they get cut off. What can you tell us about that on the part of City Power?
Yeah, from our side, I think we play also a part in terms of the City of Johannesburg when it comes to the billing value chain. We do provide the readings for them to be able to bill. We have been running a drive with them to make sure that we reduce the number of queries, billing-related queries that are on their side. But we also, from our side, we've seen customers who install, because we've started a voluntary disclosure when it comes to customers who have installed solar or other renewables at their space, to say, come and advise us so that we can actually be able to install a meter that will be able to read that which you are using and that which you are sending into the grid. Because I tell you now, in some instances, especially customers with older meters, you find that whatever that you send into the grid gets added into your billing. So if you disclose that I've got this type of a system, and we are able to come and reprogram your meter and make sure that your billing is accurate. So we do have those billing processes where we invite customers to come forward and engage with us. And I'll tell you now that when we do disconnections, we exclude all the customers who've got queries, logged queries, into the process, and we target those who are not paying and are just keeping quiet and not coming forward when it comes to their issues.
All right, so actually we should use the word urge customers to come forward, not just invite them, Thamsanqa. If you've got any kind of renewable energy installed on your property, you really should go in and declare that you've got that renewable so that you can get a proper meter reading, surely.
Most definitely. We do urge our customers to come forward. Currently still a voluntary disclosure, but I think we are urging them to come forward and actually have disclose that they've got this type of system.
Is there any, what's the word that I'm looking for? Is there any cost involved with having renewables on your property and trying to get off the grid completely?
No, so at this point, and I'll tell you, at this point, we have not had customers who say to us they want to move completely off the grid. Other people still want to use the grid as the backup, in instances where the sun, maybe the weather is overcast or the system is not generating as much as they anticipate. So in those instances, we say customers should come so that you are you've got a system or a meter that would be able to measure that which you are using and that which you are pushing into the grid. But if you want to completely move out of the grid, you've got a system that you say it's quite reliable. We do charge you for the termination of the supply so that we can then remove our infrastructure from your property, and we know that you do not have a service cable that would have gone. But it's actually I think it's just. Yeah, it's at the cost of the customer. I wouldn't be able to estimate the cost of it.
All right, thanks for that. That's an important clarification for us this morning. Thamsanqa, you've done the operations in the areas that I mentioned. You've done Roodepoort, Lenasia, South Alexandra yesterday. You were in Naturena. Is there another operation taking place today insofar as disconnections are concerned?
Yeah, today we're in Midrand. We will be focusing on businesses in Midrand for the half of the day, I think from 9 o'clock until around 12. From around after lunch, we'll be in the inner city, focusing on some of the hijack building and some of the high-rise buildings that have not been paying for electricity. And
of the money that you're trying to recoup, how much, insofar as these operations are concerned, how much does that contribute to, bringing down that deficit for City Power?
Yeah, so we are saying, I think we need as much as we require. And I'll tell you, for the end of August, we had to pay a bill of Eskom of about 2 billion, and every cent is required to make sure that the immediate costs are covered from that aspect. But we do encourage you. Our collection rate currently is sitting at around 91%. Our target is that we can sit at least at around 96%. And I think that's what we are pushing to make sure that customers do pay their bills, so that at least we can meet our day-to-day requirements.
Thamsanqa Mathiso, let me thank you for your time this morning. City Power's Head of Revenue Management joining us this morning.